Cletus McFarland stepped into NASCAR, and everything felt different. People started talking, but no one knows what's really going on. What did he do? And why now? Something strange is happening, and it all starts here. Stafford Speedway hosted the Cletus McFarland. At the New England 900, Cletus McFarland turned a simple race into a wild party. He brought old Crown Vics with nitrous and train horns instead of fancy cars. Thousands came, not just to see who won, but to feel the noise, the fun, and the chaos. Racing felt alive again. It wasn't just about speed, it was about moments you'd never forget. Now here's what's happening. Word on the track is that Ram, the truck brand, might be eyeing a return to the NASCAR Truck Series. They've been absent full-time for more than 10 years, letting Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota dominate. But now Ram might come back and Cletus McFarland could be behind the wheel. That possibility alone has started real talks. This isn't just about horsepower, it's about bringing in a whole new group of fans. A well-known brand teaming up with a huge online creator could draw massive attention. NASCAR leaders see the chance. More brands mean more rivalry, more sponsors, more fans. The thought of Cletus behind the wheel of a Ram truck in an official race isn't just exciting, it's wild. He might not bring years of traditional experience, but he brings eyes, he brings energy, and most of all, he brings that unpredictable spark that NASCAR has been missing. His very presence could turn quiet race weekends into full-on events. Suddenly, it's not just gearheads in the crowd. It's families, teenagers, people who only knew racing through highlight reels and viral clips. Some say Cletus might be what NASCAR needs to break into the digital world full force. His name alone brings headlines. His face shows up in thumbnails across millions of screens. Whether he's racing, building engines, or joking around with friends, he keeps fans watching. And when someone like that joins NASCAR, it doesn't just shake things up, it forces change. Cletus might race part-time, or he might help promote and create content behind the scenes. He could race, post videos, film the behind-the-scenes action, or maybe all of it. A full season, though? That's 25 tough races from February to November. It means practices, travel, qualifying, and staying focused for nearly a year. That might be too much while also keeping up his video and event work. Still, his promotional power is colossal. He commands millions of followers, his energy has the potential to pull in younger fans, kids and teens, and anyone who loves wild spectacles in a way nothing else can. Videos, behind the scenes, content, creative truck-themed clips, it could reshape how the sport is seen. Now picture this. In a quiet meeting room, a NASCAR team looks at everything. The packed stands at the New England 900. The cheers, the chaos, the excitement, and they decide they want Cletus. Not as a joke, not for one race. They want him on the team. They didn't worry about mistakes or wild moves. They saw real energy. Like a superhero or a wrestling villain, fans react to him. That's what NASCAR needs. They want big stories. They want fans to care again. So they picked McFarland. What makes this even more surprising is how quickly it all happened. It wasn't some long, drawn-out pitch. It wasn't months of slow meetings. From what insiders say, it took just a few talks, a few key races, and the team said yes. That kind of decision is rare in NASCAR. Usually, it takes months, sometimes years. But Cletus? He made it happen fast. Picture the moment he shows up. Crews in fire suits rush the garage. People turn their heads at a Crown Vic-style truck. The noise, the color, the cameras. McFarland has arrived. Fans follow. They film it. They cheer. It feels like a full show. It raises another question. What does this mean for other drivers? If Cletus can make the jump, who's next? Will other YouTubers or online stars get their shot too? And what about sponsors? Many of them have already started shifting their focus to digital creators who bring guaranteed views. A creator like Cletus doesn't just show up to race. He shows up with a camera crew, a brand voice, and a built-in audience. That kind of attention is hard to ignore. But not everyone is happy. In the background, some teams are upset. They've worked for years chasing sponsors, proving themselves. Now, a YouTuber walks in and gets a big chance. One team member said it feels like skipping the line at Daytona. We work hard, now we race against train horns. You can see why some are angry. NASCAR has rules. This isn't how it normally works, but maybe that's why it is working. Fans want more than lap times. They want drama, emotions, drivers calling each other out, slammed doors, real moments. And Cletus brings that without even trying. When he walks into the paddock, people don't just clap, they wait for what he does next. NASCAR needs that. The Truck Series is where bold choices are tested. This is the biggest one in years. If the plan works, more people might watch NASCAR than ever before. Kids, teens, and new fans might start watching. Sponsors will notice. Big brands might come back. The sport could grow again. And this isn't just about filling seats. This is about stories. NASCAR used to thrive on rivalries, on larger-than-life drivers who made headlines both on and off the track. McFarland might be the first in a long time to bring that feeling back. Every time he races, there's a story. Every time he posts, fans tune in. But what if it doesn't work? Could this all fall apart before it even begins? When he joins, everything changes. He's no longer just a showman. He has to follow NASCAR rules and race against professionals who trained their whole lives. If he fails, critics will be ready. Some fans love this change. They think it's fresh and exciting. One fan said racing should be fun, and they'd rather watch Cletus's Crown Vic show than another boring track race. But others are not so sure. One fan said he isn't a racer. He's a personality. This isn't a show. This is NASCAR. So which is it? Is NASCAR a sport or a show? It has always been both. Dale Earnhardt didn't just win, he told a story. Rusty Wallace made people feel something. The best moments were not just finishes, they were the drama in between. That's what McFarland brings. Now he has a choice. Go all in and race full-time or stay part-time and keep being the link between racing and entertainment. Either way, he's now part of NASCAR's future. Some are cheering, some are doubting, but everyone is watching. Is Cletus saving the sport or turning it into a circus? Hit the subscribe button if you're ready for more chaos, more controversy, and more drama from the heart of NASCAR.
Bonsai into the corner. Zilisch overshoots it. He's going to have to go through the A-frames. They're spinning in turn 2. Unbelievable restart with 7 laps to go. Austin Hill is your race leader.
It's a loser's strategy, but it is a strategy, and it is beneficial if you can, if it works out the way you play.
Connor Zilisch did something during a race in 2025 that made everyone stop and stare. Fans didn't know what to think. The drivers were shocked, and one racing star said it might change the sport forever. What happened on that track? Why is everyone still talking about it today? You won't believe the story behind this moment. It all started with a nearly flawless performance. Zilisch, just 19 years old and returning from a collarbone injury, led 70 of 78 laps and swept both stages. This was his 8th win of the season and marked yet another milestone in what's been a breakout year for the young driver. But while the scoreboard celebrated his dominance, the final moments of the race told a different story. In the last restart during overtime, Zilisch locked up heading into turn 1. Instead of taking the corner, he veered off the racing line and cut through a designated escape path marked by A-frame signs. This chicane is meant to serve as a self-penalty for drivers who miss the corner, but in Zilisch's case, it became his golden ticket. While chaos and collisions erupted behind him, Zilisch bypassed the mayhem and re-entered the track with a clear lead. NASCAR chose not to penalize him, citing that the move was within the current rules. The decision caught many off guard, leaving some fans cheering and others scratching their heads in disbelief. The lack of a penalty quickly became the main topic of conversation across the racing community.
Zilisch is there. Look at off the line. Bonsai into the corner. Zilisch overshoots it. He's going to have to go through the A-frames. They're spinning in turn 2. Unbelievable restart with 7 laps to go. Austin Hill is your race leader.
That decision lit a fire. Denny Hamlin didn't mince words. On his podcast, he described the win as very controversial, raising questions about whether Zilisch even attempted to make the corner or had always planned to exploit the chicane. Hamlin pointed out that by skipping turn 1 and using the escape route, Zilisch gained 2 critical advantages. He avoided potential contact in a wreck-prone zone, and he lost little to no time. In fact, the design of the chicane made it nearly as fast as staying on the racing line. Hamlin's criticism wasn't aimed at Zilisch's talent. He acknowledged that the best car and the best driver had won the race. But for him, the real issue was the rules and track design that allowed a move like that to go unpunished. According to Hamlin, this wasn't just a one-off problem. He emphasized that similar issues with chicanes and escape lanes had been around for years, and yet NASCAR had done little to address them. The frustration wasn't limited to Hamlin. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also spoke out, criticizing the corner design at Portland and suggesting it should be eliminated altogether.
He argued that if a self-penalty system can be gamed so easily, then it's not doing its job. Many fans agreed. Social media lit up with discussions about whether Zilisch had essentially cheated the system, even if he hadn't technically broken any rules. The inconsistency in NASCAR's enforcement also came under the spotlight. Hamlin reminded everyone of the 2022 incident involving Ross Chastain at the Indianapolis road course. Chastain had used an access road during a restart, trying to avoid a wreck. NASCAR handed him a heavy penalty for that move, yet Zilisch, who pulled a nearly identical stunt, was allowed to keep his win. This double standard raised eyebrows and added fuel to the controversy. Zilisch himself addressed the situation after the race. He admitted that during practice he had tested the chicane and found that it wasn't significantly slower. He said it was never his plan to take that route during the race, but when the brakes locked up, it was his only option. His post-race comments made it clear that he didn't feel like he had done anything wrong. In his mind, it was a case of using what was available to survive the restart.
Don't hate the player, man.
Well, he did it once prior, and NASCAR said it was clean, so
he just got faster at doing it the next time. And from what I understand is that Xfinity teams were practicing running that chicane during practice.
But Hamlin wasn't buying it. He suggested that Zilisch might have made the move deliberately, knowing full well the advantages it could offer. Even if that wasn't the case, the fact that the system allowed such a possibility was, in Hamlin's eyes, a massive failure by NASCAR. He called it poor planning and said that the organization needs to find a way to ensure that cutting the track truly penalizes the driver. Fans watching the race were split. Some applauded Zilisch for using smart racecraft under pressure, taking a legal route to avoid disaster. Others felt cheated, believing that the integrity of the finish was compromised. For a sport that prides itself on competition and fairness, that's a dangerous line to walk. The situation also brought up deeper questions about how NASCAR adapts to new generations of drivers. Young talents like Zilisch are sharp, calculated, and willing to exploit every inch of the rulebook to win. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's part of racing. But the responsibility lies with the sport's governing body to make sure the rulebook can withstand that level of scrutiny. In this case, it didn't. Zilisch's win will stand. But the controversy surrounding it isn't going away. NASCAR is now under pressure to review and possibly overhaul the rules around penalty chicanes and escape lanes. Fans want clarity, drivers want fairness, and analysts want consistency. The last thing the sport needs is another season defined by debates over technicalities instead of talent. Portland won't get another chance to fix the issue. The track has already been dropped from the 2026 Xfinity Series schedule, a move that some speculate may be linked to the controversy. Whether or not that's true, the message is clear. NASCAR can't afford to ignore the problem any longer. Adding to the complexity, several former drivers and analysts have begun chiming in. Some say this kind of strategic move is exactly what separates good drivers from great ones. They argue that in a sport built on tight margins, using every available option is smart racing. Others are concerned that this opens the door to more chaotic and confusing races, where fans no longer understand what counts as a fair win. The rulebook becomes a weapon, and victory can hinge more on loopholes than on performance. Sponsors don't like wins mixed with drama. It can hurt their image even if the driver did well. They want clean races and positive stories. The bigger issue is what comes next. If NASCAR doesn't fix the rules, other drivers may try the same thing. Hamlin's warning wasn't just about this race, it was about protecting the future of the sport. This case is big because it mixes skill, strategy, and the rules. Zilisch didn't crash anyone or break cars. He just used the rules as they are. By doing that, he showed a problem many missed. Hamlin spoke up and people listened to him. Now it's up to NASCAR. If they don't act, more drivers will win in ways that spark the same kind of debate. Zilisch may be the future of NASCAR, but the sport has to decide whether it wants that future defined by speed, skill, and spectacle, or by loopholes and ambiguity. Either way, the Portland race will be remembered, not just for who won, but for how he won. And what happened after the checkered flag may matter even more than what happened before it.
I think it's all fine until he does something to until he does something that irks a Hendrick or somebody that's above, like directly above his chain of command. Like, hey, in the Cup race, him and McDowell racing each other to the finish.
The Southern 500 turned wild. Carson Hocevar slammed doors with Chase Elliott, and in that moment, he ignored a clear warning from Dale Earnhardt Jr. The fight on track shocked fans, shook the garage, and proved that trouble was coming the second Hocevar crossed the wrong line. On Sunday, August 31st, 2025, the Cookout Southern 500 started the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs at Darlington Raceway. Chase Briscoe won the race, but most people were talking about the fight between Carson Hocevar and Chase Elliott. On lap 125, the two drivers hit each other while racing for 15th place. Smoke from the tires filled the air, and the trouble went far past just that race. Why was this such a big deal? Because NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt Jr. had already warned Hocevar about this exact thing. Dale Jr. said very clearly, "Don't mess with Rick Hendrick's drivers." But Hocevar didn't listen. Earlier this month, Dale Jr. talked on his Dale Jr. Download podcast and explained it straight. He said, "Everything's fine until he runs into one of Rick's cars or something like that, and he has to go into the office and talk to Rick Hendrick. That will have an effect. That might not fix it all, but that will have an effect on the decision-making behind the wheel." Dale Jr. wasn't kidding around. He said he liked watching Hocevar race, but only until the day Hocevar made Hendrick Motorsports angry. At Darlington, that's exactly what happened. On lap 125, Chase Elliott drove his number, 9 Chevy low, trying to find space. Hocevar driving the number, 77 Spire Motorsports car, hit him with a bump and run. Smoke poured off the tires and both cars were damaged while fighting for a middle spot in the race. This wasn't just any crash. Elliott races for Hendrick Motorsports, the same team Dale Jr. had warned Hocevar to stay away from. And if the bump wasn't enough, Hocevar made it worse. On his radio, he shouted, "Him! I don't care who he drives for!" That moment showed Hocevar wasn't afraid of Elliott or Hendrick Motorsports, even though his own team, Spire, gets engines from Hendrick. That made his words sting even more in the garage. Hocevar already had a tough name in NASCAR. His wild driving style made other racers mad many times. Ryan Blaney called him a moron. Ryan Preece said he'll have his day. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. promised to beat his 8. Austin Dillon even called him the biggest dummy in NASCAR. What happened at Darlington only made his bad rep worse. Just 27 laps after hitting Elliott, Hocevar spun out in turns 3 and 4 and caused the second yellow flag of the race. Then, on pit road, things got worse. His number, 77 Chevy, ran into Christopher Bell's number, 20 Toyota. Now, Hocevar wasn't just in trouble with Elliott. He was messing up the nights of more playoff drivers, and every point counted big. Bell didn't hold back after the race. He said, "The 77 just didn't yield. He didn't give way. The only reason that we had contact was because he was so far behind the field catching up. Honestly, I don't really give blame to Carson. I think it's more on his team to not let him know the circumstances." Bell believed Hocevar's crew should have told him to yield. Instead, the mistake left Bell limping home in 29th place. His playoff hopes dented badly. Despite everything, the bump on Elliott, the spin, the crash with Bell, Hocevar finished P9. On social media, he posted, "Haha P9 after all that. Rode the Dente." To some fans, it sounded like a joke. To others, it was more proof of his hot-headed style. Either way, he walked away with a top 10 finish while Elliott and Bell paid the price. What makes this story so big is how it ties back to Dale Jr.'s podcast. He had said he was fine with Hocevar's aggression until he messed with Hendrick Motorsports. That moment, he warned, would change everything. Now, Hocevar has done exactly that, battling Chase Elliott, one of Rick Hendrick's prize drivers. Dale Jr.'s words feel less like a prediction and more like a prophecy that came true. In NASCAR, respect and relationships carry as much weight as speed. Crossing Hendrick Motorsports doesn't just risk one race, it risks long-term trust with the most powerful team in the sport. Hendrick builds engines, supports alliances, and influences decisions across Chevrolet. By slamming Elliott and dismissing it with a curse over the radio, Hocevar may have made more than just one enemy. He may have drawn a target on his back in the garage. While Hocevar was stirring drama, the race itself was a classic Southern 500. Chase Briscoe dominated, leading 309 of 367 laps and grabbing his second straight Darlington crown. That result locked him into the round of 12. Even Dale Jr. had praise for Briscoe on his podcast. Dude, he is dangerous. He's got to be one of the guys I need to worry about. So while Briscoe celebrated one of the biggest wins of his career, the spotlight also burned on Hocevar for all the wrong reasons. Around the garage, the storyline wasn't just about who won. It was about Hocevar's behavior. Drivers already frustrated with him now had more evidence of recklessness. Fans debated online whether he's the next big personality or simply a wreck waiting to happen. Some saw his P9 finish as proof he can compete. Others saw it as luck, surviving chaos he created himself. What happens next could shape Hocevar's future in NASCAR. If Hendrick Motorsports and other powerhouse teams view him as too reckless, his chances of moving into stronger rides may slip away.